Hi, this is Stephen Beschloss with America.
And I'm Mark Jacob with the Stop the Presses newsletter.
And this is on target. Uh, let's just jump right in. So, Donald Trump and his sycophantic cabinet held another one of their meetings on camera. And once again, we witnessed their obedient, praiseworthy North Korea style sycophancy for the great one. And that awful show, you might call it mass psychosis, also included Trump railing against the New York Times for questioning his stamina. Then we saw his inability to stay awake. And when he was awake, that's the worst part of it. He was attacking Congresswoman Omar from Minnesota and despicably, appallingly calling all the people from Somalia garbage, calling the affordability issue a Democratic con job, denying his own involvement with the deadly strikes in the Caribbean Sea. And of course, also, we have Pete Hegseth denying responsibility for these war crimes, indeed, these acts of murder. That's a lot, but that's not all of it, and it isn't easy. I would say, for a reporter to get it all in a single article, but the coverage, and this is the thing, the coverage by the legacy media largely failed to confront this disaster. Underscoring not only Trump's obvious decline in its meeting, but also to address the horrors of a White House occupant who treats our fellow humans with such demonizing language and contempt. Let me just give a few examples. These headlines, which are, as we know, Mark, how most people get their information. They don't get past the headlines. This is from the New York Times. Trump appears to fight sleep during cabinet meeting. This from the Washington Post. Trump appears to doze off in another meeting. CNN, a little bit better. Trump said he was sharper than I was 25 years ago. Then he spent an hour appearing to doze off again. And then this from the AP. Doodling, drowsiness, and a conspicuous misspelling highlight Trump's last cabinet meeting of 2025. And then this, which I would argue is the best of the bunch from The Independent in the UK. Their simple headline said this: taking the gloves off. Trump just held the cabinet meeting from hell, which is about right. And let me just give you the subtitle because it gives you a sense of their tone. Holly Baxter, the reporter, reports on a wild eyed, fast talking Pete Hegseth and Trump's detour from, quote, fat drugs for fat people to extrajudicial killings to Melania's thoughts on the construction noise around the new ballroom at the White House. There you are. Legacy media struggling to capture the reality of this moment. Leaving the country in increasing danger because of it.
Well, Stephen, I feel like one of the big problems is this constant readjustment of what's normal and the media kind of forgetting that the pre-Trump era, that there were normal ways that normal things were done and the way cabinets operated and the way that government operated. And it seems like every time Trump, shatters a norm, the media seem to instantly adjust to it and decide that that's the new normal, to where nothing it there's no five alarm fire. There's no oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah,
I've been arguing that, I mean, if you went back 10 years and you showed somebody any of the things that are happening
yeah.
today,
Any of those
they would
examples.
be they'd be stunned. It would be giant headlines in the New York Times. But instead, there's this drip, drip, drip to where it all becomes normalized. And the media, if they want to really serve the public, they need to fight against that impulse.
Yeah. So I mean, I gave a few examples. Again, it wasn't all of it. And there's no question the falling asleep, raises the questions about his cognitive decline and surely his fitness for the job. But of course, there's so much more. And we've talked sort of off camera about particularly the disgusting contempt that he showed for people of color from Somalia, many of which, maybe most of which are in fact American citizens.
Elon Omar says that 90% of them are
Yeah,
U.S. citizens. So, I mean, so this is not him dealing with an immigration problem, a problem of illegal immigration or undocumented immigrants. This is him wanting to chase black people out of the country. That's
Yeah.
really what he wants to do.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think we went through this goes back to the first term where this reluctance to amplify the worst from him because it was just repeating the lie or repeating the insults, repeating the grotesque behavior. But I think we learned from that in fact you have to repeat it because otherwise there's too many people that don't know that it happens. And so they are able to minimize the recklessness and the danger and the appalling consequences of a man like this. So how do we deal with it now? What's your sort of sense of that?
I mean, I think that the media need to be they need to be alarmed. They need to,
Yeah,
this whole thing. You had this situation. New York Times, for example, has been, saying, "Well, we don't want to be the referees." Some people want to make us the referees in this. Well, no, I mean, unless the New York Times can, throw a yellow flag and penalize somebody 15,000 votes, I don't think they're the referees. I think they need to be the announcers, and they need to
mm,
really loudly announce, hey, this is happening right now, and this is that Trump is building a dictatorship, that Trump is uh, is violating people's rights, that he's ignoring court rulings, that he's trying to invent a war. Stephen, you have Trump saying that he wants to go to war with Venezuela because of drug trafficking, at the same time that he is pardoning an enormous drug trafficker, the former head of Honduras, and
right,
and
right. Who
and
who is responsible for participated in over 400,000 tons, 400 tons of cocaine ending up in the United
Right.
States.
And so this is a huge contradiction that totally blows out of the water any idea that he's doing it because of drug trafficking. He's doing it to steal their oil,
Yeah,
basically. And it's really important for the news media not to get to buy into this. Well, they're all drug boats. He's going after drug boats. If it's a drug boats, prove they're drug boats. And if they're drug boats, go down and arrest them and stop them and seize the drugs. Don't blow them out of the water and then wait and see if there are any survivors and then blow them out too. I mean, these are war crimes, and the only good sign in all this horrible stuff that's happening here is that people are calling them war crimes because there
yeah,
are rules about how the Pentagon deals with stuff like this. There are rules of engagement about for soldiers that they're taught when they get into the military, and one of them is that if you have somebody and they specifically the examples are about.
survivors of a wreckage. Yeah,
Yeah, so come on. I mean, we
yeah.
know this is
Well,
him totally violating the rules of conduct, but for the military, committing war crimes, and at least people are using that phrase "war crimes" because that's what it is.
yeah. Well, look, this is, we call this on target. We made a decision to focus on some examples where the media is doing good work. I mentioned the Independent at least trying
Right,
to kind of capture the insanity of yet another crazy cabinet meeting. But I also, think it's worth, focusing on the Washington Post, which did the good work. The reporters
right,
that did good work found seven sources who were either involved in the meetings or were sort of close enough to the operations to be able to comment on what was happening. And Hegseth, they report giving the order to kill everyone. And I think it's because of that solid reporting
right.
that was unavoidable that we're now at a point where this horror might actually have consequences.
And that really points up the real problem in the media today. You have legitimate, excellent reporters at the Washington Post who are still doing straight news coverage that's good, but you have on the opinion side total sucking up to Donald Trump, the owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, just doing Trump's bidding in order to protect his own other businesses. So it's really tough because those reporters did a real service. And how long are they going to be around doing that
Yeah,
kind of service? This is a dangerous time for the press. But and it shouldn't be ignored, Stephen, that that Hegseth kicked all the legitimate
Yeah,
journalists out of the
yeah.
Pentagon because they wouldn't sign some paper that said that they wouldn't use any unofficial sources. So this
Well,
is
I think
just what he was trying to avoid.
yeah, and the people that were replacing are people like Laura Loomer
Right,
and James O'Keefe and kind of right wing crackpots
right,
that are
totally.
being sort of set up pretending to be journalists, and you have a 25-year-old so-called press secretary who's pretending to be a press secretary. It looked like almost an episode of Saturday Night Live when they were conducting their press conference yesterday. But the only, again, the positive in that is at least you have the legitimate Pentagon reporters who are feeling particularly
Right.
aggrieved, who may be going out of their way to try to do the best work that they can, and maybe not benefiting from the typical access journalism of the press room. In this case, might actually be a benefit.
Yeah, and we kind of rip the press when they deserve it, but we need the press. We need quality journalism right now desperately, and so it's I think that you and I both feel like we need to reward and congratulate strong reporting.
Yeah. So listen, I want to leave actually with this sort of note. I mean, I think there's been a lot of stories. I mean, more and more sort of talking about Trump's weakness and his weakening position. I think the Tuesday night, the inability of the Republican to handily win in Tennessee is sort of yet another sign that people are mad as hell, and there's only so much more that they can take. And one by one, these things are escalating to weaken Trump's position. That's a reason for optimism. But we have witnessed again and again. When a rat is cornered, it's when they're the most dangerous.
Right. That's right.
So we all need to stay on guard, and we need our friends in the press to do their jobs.
Yep. Yeah. So let's stay vigilant. They need to too. And talk to you next time, Stephen.
Thanks, Mark. We'll see you then.